Hey everyone, welcome to Active Education. Happy New Year everyone. Today the goal is to show you how to pivot to through a VPS or a virtual private server. Hey everyone, so here is the network diagram for the pivoting. You have your attacker machine, you go through the internet and then you to reach the SSH port of the VPS. But with proxy chain or any other level of way of pivoting, you can reach whatever system the compromised machine can reach. In our case, it's a VPS, so there is no really internal network associated with it. Uh, but we use it to have another public IP address. But in a real life scenario, when you're pen testing or like if you compromise a machine, you can use it to pivot in the internal network, so you would be able to reach the tablet, the laptop or the PC or whatever system that is connected with the compromised device. Just a quick illustration, but that's mainly one of the reasons, well, two reasons, either to get a public IP to not get banned or something, that we get a VPS that we control, or to reach other systems that would be unreachable to the attacker machine directly. So, just to give you an idea, I'm gonna SSH into the server. In my case, it's a server, a digital ocean droplet, but it doesn't really matter. What's important here is the capital D 8081. You can use whatever port you want, but 8081 in my instance is the local port on my machine that's going to be open and listening to the HTTP, the SOX proxy. You can verify that it's working by either just checking your ports open, but doing an nmap on yourself. You can see that 8081 is open, which means you can use the SOX proxy. If you want to use Proxychain, which I think it's one of the easiest proxying tool to use, you need to specify it in the configuration file 8081 as well. It just needs to match the port that you just used. So if we want to test if it's working or not, you can just do, in my case, it's just a curl command, so it checks a website. If config.me is just a website that you can check to, well, you can hit to check your public IP address. So here is the public IP address of the digital ocean droplet, which you can see here. It's the same IP address as the one here. So meaning we successfully proxied through the virtual private server. So one thing I want to show you here is when you're doing bug bounties, the main reason I'm showing this is you can use Burp to proxy and have a UX, a UI web interface, just a regular browser, but to pivot to the virtual private server. One of the reasons you would want to do this, mainly in bug bounties, is when you want to perform like a lot of scan to not get banned via Akamai. Like you will still get banned, but you get banned the virtual private server, not your home IP. So if you want to go to like do your banking or like pretty much do anything, you won't get blocked. So I'm gonna configure Burp to use it as a proxy. Just by example here, the port 8080, that's why I use 8081. 8080 is the Burp proxy. You don't need to change that, I think it's that by default. But one other thing you need to change is in network connections. Here you use upstream proxy server. No, a SOX proxy, sorry. Okay, SOX proxy, use SOX proxy, and in our case, we're going to use like localhost ourselves as SOX proxy. You can do DNS lookup over SOX proxy if you want. In the VPS instance, it doesn't really matter, but if you compromise a machine in a pentest assessment, you may want to use the DNS of the machine because they might have more access in the network, and therefore you may want to use the local DNS resolution. So once we set up that, you can use the browser of Burp. So once the browser has fully loaded, we can verify our IP address here again. What's my IP? So here, if you see, it's my browser, but it says the same IP address as my DigitalOcean droplet, and it even says here that my ISP is DigitalOcean. So we successfully proxied our traffic to uh, to the SSH tunnel and to do the pivoting. So from here on out, you can just use this browser to perform your pen tests, like your bug bounties and stuff. Basically, you can see an HTTP story, it's working, you can enter sub requests, but it's not going to blacklist your IP address, your home IP address, I would say. Um, so one of the reasons I'm teaching Proxychain here, I don't really use it much, but I think it's the easiest to use. So I'm gonna tell you how to use it, at least maybe in, I wouldn't say advanced, but some tips. So if you see here, the first 4 lines are just, well, information. The difference between dash Q, if you use the dash Q, it's gonna just straight up remove everything here. But if you perform a port scan, you probably don't want to use, well, at least not in the first one, you probably don't want to use a dash dash Q, I mean, because you're gonna see here, 80, let's just say a more realistic example so it doesn't get flooded. So here you can see here, if you scan a network, you're gonna see if the socket is timeout, if it's open, like if it's okay in that sense. Here the map says that I have SSH open in my box, but it's really slow. But in the first scan, if you want to see that your pivoting is set up correctly, you might want to not use the dash Q. Again, if you're doing a real port scan, you probably do want to use the dash Q. So in Proxychain, I would honestly strongly suggest using the dash Q because it removes a lot of the gibberish that you can use in the output, and it would be exactly the same as running the command. So something else that you can try if you don't like, if you just want to run bash script commands, but you don't want to write Proxychain every time, you can just do a Proxychain Q bash, meaning it will open a bash shell, like everything what you already have here, but everything is going to be proxied. So I don't need now to use the Proxychain -q, so everything here is going to be proxied. If you want also to scan faster, like I wouldn't really advise it for a lot of scanning internet networks, but like if you need to run a crack map exec or something, I would, here by default they are at those values, like 15,000 and 8,000. Basically it's just a timeout that it's gonna wait before trying to use another port. So I would lower that in the sense that as you can see, most of our internet connection now are quite reliable, so you don't need to have that much timeout. But if you guys are interested, I could do like other pivoting videos. Like I don't really use Proxychain in mandate. That's what I'm telling you. Especially if I want to use a lot of tools like crack map exec, scan faster, all of that stuff. I hope this was useful. That's something that I see like maybe some junior pen tester don't know, like how to pivot. I think it's really not only interesting but useful to know in either a bug bounty context, if you want to learn about security, knowing networks, like knowing in security, if you know all the underlying layer, you're able to make better decision and either better attack or defend it in the case that what you're trying to attack or defend depending on the situation. So hope it was entertaining and useful, so stay active.